leukocytes. Leukocytes, general characteristics, you know what these are. The main function is to fight infection and inflammation. That's the main function of leukocytes. Fight infection. That's the general function. Not, I wouldn't say the main, but it's the general. Each has a nucleus. Remember that all white blood cells have a nucleus, that's for sure. They all have a nucleus. They don't have any hemoglobin. Most are capable of amoeboid movement. Do you understand what amoeboid movement is? Let me explain that to you real briefly. An amoeba is an odd-shaped thing. They don't have any different symmetry to them. You know, that kind of be like an amoeba. And amoeboid means these things can be pseudopodia. They extend the pseudopodia and just kind of slide along. That's amoeboid movement. So most of them, they also exhibit diapedesis. Many of them exhibit diapedesis. That means they can squeeze between the membrane, the cells of the membranes of a capillary and move out into the tissue. And so I have that down. That's the next term here. Some are phagocytic, especially monocytes, and those are especially, monocytes and neutrophils are especially phagocytic. Phagocytic means, what does phagocytosis mean? Y'all remember that one? Y'all remember phagocytosis? Cell what? Cell eating. That's phagocytosis. So many of them are phagocytic. I also say most exhibit diapedesis. Squeeze between membranes of adjacent capillary cells. They squeeze out. They go out into the highways and byways and gobble up any bacteria, whatever might be out there. So diapedesis. This is white blood cell. Exhibit chemotaxis will move toward. Chemotaxis means go toward tissue that's damaged where there's toxins. They'll do that. That's the chemo. That's the chemotaxis. Oh, come on. That's the chemotaxis idea. Number of leukocytes. Now, remember how we talked about this. Will range from 5,000 to 9,000 per millimeter cube. Whereas, that's a milliliter. Whereas white blood cells are about 5.4 million. There's a whole lot of difference in 5 to 9,000 and 5.4 million. So we talk about that. So leukocytes. And again, they may live from a few hours to a few days. And these leukemias, adult onset leukemia, you know, I've known some different people who've had leukemia. That hit this one man in the family. He was in his late 70s, diagnosed with leukemia, went through treatment, MD Anderson, tried different things, died. A roommate I had, who was a dermatologist, and I told you that story. Pain to report. He, the adult onset leukemia. There was another fellow I knew real well, older. All these guys, except the roommate, were much older than me. But another fellow I knew named Tommy Burke. I knew his mother. His mother was a school teacher in my little town. He worked for the big gas company in Houston. What is it? You pay your bills. What is it? Centerpoint Energy, the gas. And they may have been called something other than Centerpoint before, but he was an executive with Centerpoint. He was out playing golf in Livingston one day, and he was hitting the golf ball, going along, and he had a shoulder pain, extremely. What did I do? What's going on with my shoulder? Went to have it checked out. Now, how the pain result? He ended up. They diagnosed him with leukemia, and he didn't live. But the adult onset seems to be the situations I've known. How many of you have known an adult with leukemia? Did the person get over it? Did they die? All right. The adult onset leukemia, and there are different kinds of leukemias, and it doesn't have to crop up in a younger man or woman. It could usually, the ones I've known have been a little bit older, and it pops up, and it's not good. Trust me. All right. So the may live from a few hours to a few days. And groups of leukocytes, I might mention this. We talked about this in 2401. The granular leukocytes, ONEB, N-E-B. Y'all remember ONEB? You remember that one from 2401? The granular, N-E-B, neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil. They have little granules in the cytoplasm, little proteinaceous granules. They take different stains. That's the granulocytes or granular leukocytes. And I mentioned them real quickly. 3 types recognized on the basis of various stains. All right, like eosinophils, they stain real good with the microbiological stain eosin. Basophils stain with methylene blue. All right, like right here, for example. Neutrophils make up 60% of the leukocytes. In ONEB, they're referred to as poly. That's on your test too. That right there is on your practice exam. Polymorphonuclear. Now tell me, Shasta, what does the word polymorphonuclear mean to you? Polymorpho.
Does not look like they have a lot of nucleus.
It does. Many-shaped nucleus. That's right. Poly means many. Morpho means shape. Polymorphonuclear. Many. It looks a many-shaped nucleus. That's what that means. Polymorpho. And this is the one generally referred to as the polymorphonuclear. Most active in response to bacterial invasion. These things get after it. The monocytes. I'm sorry, the neutrophils. Never let monkeys eat bananas. Remember that one? Y'all remember that one? Yeah, you do. Never let monkeys eat bananas. From the most numerous to the least numerous, neutrophils, 60. All right, capable of phagocytosis and amoeboid movement. Release an enzyme called lysosome that destroys certain bacteria. And they also have a chemical called defensins. Produce an antibiotic-like proteins called defensins that destroy bacteria by poking holes in the membrane. But now, this cannot, don't take this as a cure-all, because we've got medicines. I mean, this kind of helps a little bit, might help a little bit, but it's not certainly not something you want to fall back on. You definitely want to get treated for a problem. You know what I'm saying? But they do have these kinds of things. So this is the neutrophil, and I'll show you. We'll get pictures of these. Now, eosinophils, I like the eosinophils. How many of you have allergies? Allergy problems periodically. The eosinophils, capable of phagocytic and amoeboid movement, increase. Okay, right here. These increase. Now, do remember this. These increase in conditions involving allergic reactions, like hay fever, with pollen, that sort of thing. You have asthma and hay fever.